else you can find the brown one.
You're on.
All right.
Yep, you're on.
Welcome to Feet on the Street this Cinco de Mayo. Yeah, 5th of May.
Yes.
Yes, Tuesday, Cinco de Mayo. And I'm here with Marilyn Hunt. Did I say that right?
Yep.
All right, very good. A judge, right?
Correct.
Very cool. So I look forward to learning more about that. And I guess we could just jump right in. Actually, we can start with where we're at. We always like to let people know we're at Lynn's Ice Cream Yogurt and More, which is on 1232 Commerce in downtown Longview. Fresh cut fries, hand pressed hamburger patties. There's one right over there. It looks amazing. All the toppings I can imagine. Milkshakes made from hand scooped ice cream. I mean, it's amazing. I know you ate something.
I had dinner. It was very good.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's amazing. So yeah, 1232 Commerce in Longview. So let's talk more about what you do. What kind of judge are you?
So I'm a Superior Court judge here in Cowlitz County, and a lot of people don't necessarily know what that means.
Sure.
So there are different levels of courts. The very lowest level of courts are the municipal and district courts.
It's like your traffic.
That's your traffic. That's your driving under the influence, the small thefts, the assault fours. And
I'm surprised that's municipal in the DUI. I always thought that would have been like a higher.
Well, there is a felony DUI,
okay.
but the lower end, those are going to be in district or municipal court.
Gotcha.
And in Cowlitz County, the municipalities contract with the county to handle their cases.
Okay.
And so all those are actually through the district court, Cowlitz County District Court.
Gotcha.
Then the Superior Court is above that. That's going to be your more significant felonies like murder, rape, robbery, kidnapping.
Wow.
That's going to be your
That's
criminal
the kind
side
of
of
stuff you work
things.
with, then.
Right.
Okay.
And as well as divorces, adoptions, any real estate matters, those are going to be in Superior Court where I'm at.
So you get to decide about the person who's fighting over 5 feet of land or whatever. You get to look at those types of cases. Okay.
Yes.
My background's in title insurance. Worked in it for 15 years, so I see that side of it sometimes. It's kind of interesting, but.
So, and then above us is the Court of Appeals, which is if somebody doesn't like something that happens in Superior Court, then they can appeal it to the Court of Appeals,
Okay.
which we're in Division 2 in the state of Washington. And then if there's a potential, if that doesn't work out, or you can directly appeal something to the Supreme Court of Washington. So
Wow.
those are the different layers of courts in the
Okay.
state of Washington.
Very good. So, so can we talk about some of your cases? Is that something you're allowed to talk about? It's public knowledge to a degree, isn't it? Or
It
no?
is, but I
Okay.
can't talk about cases that I'm handling.
Fair enough. Okay.
So,
Very good. So that could be fascinating if allowed, but I knew there might be some
Yeah.
restrictions on that.
There are.
So is your position elected?
it is.
I
We
thought it
stand for
was.
election every 4 years.
Okay.
I actually came on in 2011. There were 3 seats that opened up on the Superior Court bench in 2011. So Judge Michael Evans, Judge Gary Basher, and myself were all appointed in
Wow.
2011 by the governor. And then I stood for election in 2012
Okay.
and was successful in that election. And so then next year is when I'm up for election again.
Wow. Okay.
So every 4 years.
Wow. And I mean, it's probably, I would imagine, 2 different satisfactions to be appointed and to be elected. It's like I think they both have their own merits, for lack of a better term, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there's some real difference of opinions and thoughts of what is a better process. There are some judges in the United States that are strictly appointed.
Oh, interesting.
There are some that just stand for election. And then we're a combination system. Where depending on when that seat opens up, what happened in my particular spot is the judge had retired before the end of his term, and so that's why I was appointed to the position.
Makes sense.
And but had he served out his term and just not run for election, then I would have come in at an election point
Okay.
rather than an appointment. But Governor Gregoire appointed the 3 new judges, so fairly new bench. Judge Steve Warning has been there, I don't know how many years now.
So that name's familiar to me.
Yeah, so he's been there a long time.
Wow.
And so, like I say, the 3 new judges in 2011.
So I'm curious on you know, because you were saying there's pros and cons to, of course, being appointed versus elected and those sorts of things, and it makes me think. I mean, could someone run for election that's completely unqualified? I mean, that could be a concern I could see of maybe the election process.
That's an argument.
In theory, I mean, could a person without a law degree, for example, run for
No,
Judge Bob?
there are certain requirements.
Okay, good. Okay,
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
I'm like,
you definitely
I can just
have to-
imagine Bob on the corner going, "Hey, you know, I think I want to do that," you
No.
know, and having no, you know, I mean, wow, that could be a real
Well, you,
mess.
you do have to have a law
Good,
degree to
good.
be a judge, and so
Okay.
that's the starting point.
Probably good standing with a bar or
But-
certain requirements
right.
like that. Then.
So
Okay.
the good things that you hear about the appointment process is that you're really put through a very significant process.
Sure.
You interview with a lot of independent groups that interview and they make a recommendation to the governor of whether they think you should be appointed. They do thorough background checks. You do. I did a very large application to the governor, and
Wow.
you really lay out your entire life to the governor and,
Oh, sure.
and answer all kinds of questions and give all your, work and employment background plus lots of other things.
Oh, I'm sure.
And so it's a very thorough, and that's where the appointment process is really good. It's so thorough. When you have people that are just running for an election, that not all that information necessarily comes out as
Sure.
such. It's more of maybe by name or reputation.
Who has
if
the
they
most signs
haven't.
around town? Or whatever
It
the case
can
may
be,
and
yeah,
so-
it really can be. But so that's where people tend to like the appointment process. Other
Sure.
people like the election because they don't like the idea that a governor is appointing someone to sit in their county, and
Sure.
so people want to just elect those judges. So that's where the difference
And I
is
see the
coming
pros
out.
and cons. I really can. I can see benefits of both processes.
Right.
So you were in law for how long before you became a judge?
Well, I graduated from law school in 1988.
Okay, great.
And before I graduated from law school, I had interned for some law firms. So I had a lot of experience coming out of law school.
Great.
And then I prosecuted for a while over in Benton County, which is the Kennewick, Haskell, Richland area, which is where I grew up. So I got into the courtroom right away, which is what I wanted to do.
Awesome.
And then I decided going back and prosecuting where I had grown up wasn't necessarily the best thing, and so I went into private practice, and I had a practice where I did primarily family law and criminal law,
Okay.
as well as a lot of other things, but those are my two different areas. And during that time, I was a public defender by contract for a municipality. I then went from that into being a city attorney for Burlington, Washington, which is up by Mount Vernon, north of Everett.
Sure.
I was in Skagit County, and during that time that I was in Skagit County, I did pro tem work for a lot of years. That's where when a judge is out sick or on vacation and they need someone to come in
Oh, wow.
and fill in for a judge. So I did that for about 12 years.
Oh, that's great.
And then as to here in Cowlitz, been on the bench since 2011.
Wow, that's great. That's great. So quite a variety of law experience and background. And,
Prior to going on the bench here, I was the city attorney for Longview.
wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Very cool.
broad range of background.
Very, very cool. Yeah, it's interesting. I think about criminal law in particular. That's got to be, interesting. I don't know. It's going to be. I mean,
I always enjoyed criminal.
yeah,
You work with a variety of people. I've been on the defense side and the prosecution side,
sure,
and they both have things to enjoy
sure,
in doing those. I enjoyed my defense work just because, again, you're working with a variety of people, and it's a challenge. It's a challenge as to what someone may be facing, again, as a prosecution or defense attorney. But there's such a variety of cases that go on. It's sometimes it's like solving a mystery of what did happen.
oh,
and,
sure.
and putting all it's logic. It's
Yeah.
putting all the pieces
I
together
always
and
thought
figuring
being
it
a
out.
defense attorney would be tougher in some ways. I mean, because I just think of those scenarios where you may end up with someone where, and I don't know, maybe it just doesn't happen, or maybe, I'm sure it does, but I mean, where you've got somebody you kind of feel like probably is guilty, but your job is to help them, get the best defense possible. Am I making sense? I
Yeah,
mean, where
it is.
you know,
It's a real common thought about it, that how can you represent somebody through a process knowing that they're guilty and
Sure.
but you know, ultimately, if you go back to the rights that we have in our states, in the state of Washington and all the United States, that we want to work to protect those rights and
Sure.
keep those rights, and that all those rights were given for very good reasons.
Absolutely.
And so if you keep that in focus, if that's what you're doing, is that you're holding everyone accountable to doing what they're required to do, whether
Sure.
it's law enforcement, whatever it may be. And if they do their job, then there's no issue.
That makes sense.
You know,
Makes sense.
so,
But I kept thinking we need.
so, and I think
And I do
that-
love our system. I do believe that. I mean, just I think our system was intended that a few guilty people might go free, so that the innocent don't go to jail. You know, and I'm okay with that. I mean, I really am. I think. I mean, wow, how horrible to think of somebody in there. I'm sure there are stories where the innocent do go to jail. I mean, but yeah, I like the idea that we may let a few go so that the innocent by and large are not in jail. So.
Innocent until proven beyond a reasonable doubt. And it's a high standard, but it's a good standard that I think really does protect the rights and interests of all the people. So,
Let's talk about I think of the position of a judge versus the position of an attorney in there. I mean, the attorney, I really feel like as a judge, you're really there just to kind of keep order and keep everybody kind of doing what they're supposed to do when they're supposed to do. Is that a good way of putting it, or?
You're to be a neutral decision maker. That's your job. Is you can't be for one side or the other. You've got to take in the information from both sides, weigh that information, and
Sure.
come up with your conclusion, whatever it may be, while following the law. And sometimes there are cases where you don't necessarily like what the law is, but it doesn't matter. You follow the law. That's what it is.
That makes sense. And more often than not, criminal, I imagine you're probably working with a jury, right? And you're probably not making that decision ultimately, or is that?
It's been a mix.
Okay.
There have been some cases where they waived their right to jury trial,
Oh, okay.
and it's tried just to the bench. And there can be a variety of reasons why they do that.
Sure.
But certainly I've heard a number of jury trials. And it's always very interesting to have the jury trials and then talk to the jurors after the case. I really appreciate all the jurors and those that have served, because I find that after they've served, that they really enjoy that time.
Sure.
And they learn a lot. And it's really a good experience for them. And, first day, you have all these people that are dreading that they have to be there
Oh, sure.
because
they've got other
they've been
things
called
in
in for
life.
jury
Yeah,
and
exactly.
they've got a number of things, and we understand that. Without the way our system works, though, they really do need to be there and participate. It just requires that. But like I said, I find those people who are selected and serve on that jury take it very seriously.
Sure.
They find it a lot more difficult than they might have thought it was. And that ultimately I find most really do enjoy it.
Can you give thoughts on? I mean, it might be tough in your position to really, kind of give which one you think. But I mean, my thoughts are, I think I would go with a jury trial over the decision of one. You know what I mean? I mean, can you have any thoughts on that, or maybe your pros and cons of why people look at both, or?
I can tell you back when I was an attorney and deciding whether I would suggest to my client, and it's in criminal, or not always criminal, sometimes civil, referring to criminal cases, if it's an issue where it's going to probably be based in law, then I would typically say, let's go to have the judge decide it.
Oh, okay. I
If
gotcha.
it's a case that's going to be decided more potentially on emotion or, maybe thoughts and feelings about something, I would probably go more in line with the jury.
I could see that. That makes sense.
So
That makes sense.
it kind of just depends on what you're wanting as an outcome.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, it gives me some thought on the two for sure, because I always thought, well, you always want to go with a jury because you got 10 minds, and all it takes is one or two to go a certain direction or whatever. Not that I plan on being in that situation, but I do watch My Cousin Vinny. I could be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
I love that movie. It's my favorite movie.
Yeah. you imagine having him in your courtroom as the attorney? Oh boy, that would be a challenge, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Love
that would be a
movie.
challenge. Yeah, it's a great movie. So, yeah.
The other thing that I was going to tell you when I was explaining about Superior Court that I didn't talk about is that a lot of people don't know that all the juvenile court proceedings are under Superior Court too.
Oh, okay.
And I'm actually presiding at juvenile
Wow.
at this time. So I'm the primary judge overseeing the juvenile cases at this point.
That's got to be, and again, I don't know if you can comment, but I think that's got to be tough though to see kids coming in like, gosh, they're getting started way too young.
It's very hard. You see some kids that you just know that if they don't change their ways, that they are going to end up very hurt or dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
They've got to change their ways because they're invincible and
Yeah.
they just figure they can keep doing whatever they're doing and they're going to be okay because, hey, nothing can touch them or hurt them.
Yeah.
And it's
I
very
just
hard
hope they
to
get a
see
wake
that.
up call at that age so they can make that change.
And that's, when I have those kids in front of me, I try to think, what can I do to try to make a difference for this child's life? And, you can only hope that you find those few words that maybe will do it.
Yeah. And it's interesting, that as you say that, because I mean, the invincibility. I think of my first car, and I know it's like quite the comparison, but in some ways it is. I was crazy. I mean, I drove 100 miles an hour every day in that car. It's amazing. I survived it, but I crashed into a tree, and they had to cut me out of the car and all that sort of thing. And man, after that, it changed me as a driver. I mean, I've only, my first year, I had a dozen or so traffic tickets, and since then, I don't think I've minded one or two. Next 20 years, so it was a wake up call. I went from invincible to go, whoa, I barely survived that. And there's a lot of different ways to get that wake up call. And maybe coming in is the wake up call they need. Appearing before you, and
Yeah, I think it's going to be, if we have those kids that it's their first time there and we'll probably never see them again
Sure.
because it was such a shock to them to go through that process. And then we have the kids at the other end, that no matter what we do, we're going to see them in adult court. So it's trying to focus on those kids in the middle to get them the services that we can get them and try to hopefully catch their attention and change their ways.
What are some of the remedies or some of the resources for helping them change their ways? What are some of the different options you have?
But one of the things that we have, again, talking about criminal, is we have Safe Court, which is basically the teen version of drug court.
Oh, okay. I'm
Uh,
familiar with Drug Court. That's a neat program.
Yeah,
We
so-
had, I forget his
Yeah,
name, but we
Adam.
had Adamant. Thank you.
Yeah.
Adam Benton. Yeah, it was a great conversation.
So Safe Court is an excellent program. As I said, it's the teens version of drug court.
Okay.
It's a very intense program that gives a lot of structure to trying to keep the kids on track. And they come in every 2 weeks in front of me to talk to me and tell me how they're doing. And if they have slipped up or done something they're not supposed to do, we're real quick to do consequences right away. That works the best, especially for the kids.
I can see that.
And and if not, then they're praised for doing well. And sometimes for some of those kids, it's the first bit of positive feedback they've ever had.
Oh,
So,
sure.
it's really rewarding to watch them go through that program and be successful. And we have
Now, is
those
it strictly
that
for
trip and
drugs?
fall.
Is it similar in structure to drug court and can be for any kid, or is it strictly for kids that are on drugs?
It's for kids that are going through the criminal process.
Okay.
And
So there's no drug requirement like drug court.
well, they have to have committed whatever act, the crime,
Sure.
as a result of some drugs.
Okay, so there's
Alcohol
no
dependence.
attachment. I was just
Right.
curious on that because with the different name Safe Court, I just want to make sure that there was still that attachment.
Yeah,
I was
it
curious.
is.
Okay.
It is.
Okay.
One of the things that I'm hoping to do is expand that to include mental health.
Oh, good.
So it's not just drugs, but also mental health. Whether we can do the co-occurring at the same time, I don't know.
Sure.
But, there's such a high percentage of the kids that we see that have mental health issues. And so if you're gonna address one, you've gotta address the
That
other
makes
to
sense.
make a difference.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Because if the underlying problem isn't
I wouldn't go there.
is an approach, for lack of a better term. Yeah.
A lot of times they're self-medicating.
Oh,
You
sure.
know, self-medicate with drugs to deal with their mental health problems, and also gotta deal
Oh,
with
they
this
didn't
to
stone.
take care of the drug.
They had to buy it back.
That makes sense.
They had to buy it back for $500.
Where to go next? That's a really cool
Well,
program.
they've been.
What else for juvenile? Let's say that they're not on drugs. What are some things that you found that really work with?
We have some ART, which is an aggressive replacement therapy. There's a really good program that we have. I don't remember how many weeks it is. It's a very long program dealing with how to better deal with anger and aggression.
She was good to my mom.
Real good program. Again, that's dealing with kids that are in the criminal system.
I went back in there trying to find my.
And we just brought on every time there's somebody who comes into our court, facing court, there's a full assessment done of that child to determine what services that child needs, and then we try to direct
I know I
them.
need to take my.
We either provide them with what we have, or we direct them to the services in the community as to what they may need.
That's cool. That's cool. 'Cause yeah, I mean, I think I've, I probably asked a few more questions and a little more focused on the kids, because in part I'm thinking that's the foundation, right? If you can get them then then you're not
And that's just it.
seeing
I
them for
wanna-
another 5, 10, 20, 30, 40 years however long they're here.
Right,
So.
if I can get their attention then, and
Plus
try
the cycle
to
if
get
they have
them out of the
kids,
system, right?
Yeah.
And that's one thing. The other court that I oversee is Hope Court, which is the dependencies. Dependencies are the cases where the Department of Social and Health has removed, Child Protective Services has removed the kids for some reason, and they've been placed with foster care or with
Sure.
somebody else. And so Hope Court
See, I've been.
is another version of drug court, but it's for dependency cases.
Okay.
And it's where the parent has a drug dependency problem that's creating the issue as to their parenting. And so again, they're going through treatment. They come every 2 weeks to be in front of the court. And again, it's just that structure that really helps and makes a difference for them.
So there's an effort there to help
But I
the
would like.
parents, if they're wanting to keep their family together, help them achieve those goals by
Right.
removing the underlying issue.
Right.
Our goal is hopefully to reunite those children with their parents, if that can be done safely. And so there are some parents that, we see this cycle where we see parents that were in the system themselves as dependent children from their parents. And so it's trying to end that cycle at some point to not keep them going through the courts.
So I was just thinking about, caseload. I hear that a lot of times that, our services are overburdened. I mean, is that the case? I'm guessing it probably is. I mean,
It is, as with so many things, we are very underfunded.
Sure.
And it's just, until we can get more funding to
sure.
get, right now we're in a courthouse that's very limiting. It wasn't really built with the idea of expanding.
Sure. It was built quite a while ago, right?
Yeah,
I
it was.
mean-
It was, and
Yeah.
I'm not sure what year it was built, but
Sure.
we're kind of bursting at the seams. So I know that there's been, Commissioner Weber has been really working on looking at what we can do to expand or grow. And so I know he's been really working on that. But until we can get more room, I'm not sure what more we could do at this
Sure.
point. But there definitely are very heavy caseloads. And
That's what I've heard.
we try to process them as best as we can and make sure that we're making sure everybody's rights are being
Sure.
honored. And
That's got to be a tough challenge because, like with the workload, you obviously want to get through them, but at the same time, like anything, I mean, you can paint a car in an hour, but it may not look so good. And I'm not saying you guys are doing
Right.
that, you know what I
Right.
mean? But at the
Sure.
same time, it's like that balance, and I mean, you guys, I guess, have to work with the hand you're dealt. I
Right.
guess is the bottom line. But
right,
still-
and I think we do real well with what we, what parameters we're working in.
Sure.
We do the best we can with what we have. And unfortunately, there are cases that don't get out as quickly as we'd like to because we just don't have the resources to hold more trials.
Sure.
There's only so many courtrooms and so many judges.
Now I'm curious. I know and again, I don't know the building well enough. I don't know. I certainly don't know this part of the building very well, but I know that there used to be jail cells in the building. Are those gone? Could those be ripped out and remodeled into additional courtrooms, or is that just way out in
Well,
left field? I mean, I don't know.
It's been something they've talked about,
Okay.
but the cost of knocking out the third floor basically is where
Sure.
the jail was.
Sure.
And to the cost of knocking that out, removing that and refurbishing it is so expensive for a building that's
I can see
already
that.
so
That's a good
structurally
point.
challenged
Yeah.
that it's just not worth throwing that much more
That's a
money
good
into the
point.
building.
That's a really good point. Yeah, remodeling an old building like that, especially bring it up to current code, which you'd have to do, and all those sorts of things. Yeah, it would cost more than just building something new.
Right.
So
Right.
that makes sense. Yeah, in fact, it's funny. I know it's on the third floor because having worked in title insurance, we go and pull the court cases, to read different things that determine who got the property divorce or whatever the case may be. And I remember one time riding the elevator up, and there was a person. Actually, no, it must have been going down because it must have been afterwards. It was going down, but a person was on the elevator and they mumbled something, and I couldn't quite understand what they said. I was like, "Oh, what's that?" And they said it again. And I didn't quite catch it. So I was like, "I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that." And I said, worst amenities ever. I said, worst amenities. And they said, this was by far the worst jail I've ever been to as far as the amenities. It just did not really suit my standards. And I was like, well, maybe that, I was thinking, well, that's a good thing. Maybe you won't come back, I was like, amenities, this is not a hotel, But yeah, I just thought that was pretty funny. I'm like, okay, now this person can compare it to you. I better, I'll just smile and nod my head. I want to keep on this person's good side. So, but yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. Worst amenities ever. I don't know what he was expecting. I don't know what he got at the other jails, but apparently ours did not meet his standards, and so.
No, we didn't have a sauna and a swimming pool.
Yeah, I was like, oh boy. So, yeah, it was just, it was amusing that he would even, the whole thing that was pretty interesting. So,
Yeah, they're not exactly made for comfort. That's
yeah. I'm actually glad to hear that. I think that we want people to want to get out as quickly as possible. I think would be a good thing, and not want to go back.
Right.
I think would be
Right.
a positive thing as well. So I do hear about. I think this relates. I hear about crowding in jails and things like that. Is that an issue in our area? Do we have we've got somebody that needs to be in jail? Do we have a room for them, or is that a challenge?
I think since they have, I can't remember what year they built the new jail.
So I know it's a newer
opened
jail.
it 2007, I think. Cody?
Sounds about right. But you've been there a few times.
No, that's
I'm
not what
kidding.
I'm referring. He's usually good at those kinds of things.
No, I had to give him a hard time. So.
I know there was a time that when they were still opening it, there was an issue, but I've not seen or heard any issue at all of
Good.
overcrowding.
Good. Yeah, I
Now,
think that's
whether they're at capacity, right? I don't know enough about the jail
sure.
population to say.
But when you want to send somebody there, there's a space for
Yeah.
them. So
There's a space.
that's good. That's good. And then I guess with your job, there's probably times you're assigning people to the local jail because that's more short term, isn't it? And then probably the state level, which is more longer term. Is that correct? Am I
If it's
understanding?
12 months plus a day, you're going to go out to prison. If
Okay.
it's less than that, then you're going to stay locally.
Wow. Okay.
And so it can really differ, depending on what's in front of us, what the range is that we're sentencing somebody in.
Sure.
I send them to both local jail or prison.
Very cool. And then if it's any questions out there? Nope. Okay, sometimes we have questions out there.
Yeah.
I throw it out there.
Oh, let's see. So you start your career in East of the Mountains.
I went to school at the University of Puget Sound,
Uh-huh.
and it was in Tacoma at the time. That school's now been moved to Seattle. And during the time that I was in school, I worked for a law firm in Tacoma. And then after I graduated, I actually worked for a law firm for a short time until I was actually licensed to practice law in, all of a sudden went blank, Linwood. And so I was prosecuting for the city of Linwood, and then I went over to Benton County and prosecuted for them.
My family I have some family that lives from Benton County.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty much Benton County is named after them.
Oh.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you got such a variety of backgrounds. I mean, you've worked in criminal, you've worked in city law, you've worked in real estate law. It sounds like
Right.
Really well. Within the city, you're going to have real estate. Actually, within the city, you're going to have a lot of different issues you're working within a city. And so, yeah, it's a good
Yeah,
variety.
I enjoyed the broad range of backgrounds and areas that I was able to work in
Sure.
at the variety of places. You know, the key for me always was I love the courtroom. I love being in the courtroom. So going on to the bench was perfect for me, being back in the courtroom.
That's cool. Yeah, I went. I was part of Leadership Academy here
Oh,
locally, and got to go in and see the drug court program. And that's it's probably been 7-8 years ago now. But I was pretty impressed with that program. Are you directly involved in that one in any way, or
I'm
is
not.
there's
Judge
one
Basher
judge, isn't there? I thought.
Is the
Okay.
drug court judge,
Okay.
and I do the safe court and hope court.
So you get a similar feel with those,
Right.
and so yeah, I just thought that was a really cool.
Yeah,
cool
it's very
program.
rewarding.
Yeah.
There's so many positive outcomes of people and how successful they are in that program. It's really great, and it's fun to watch those people when the first day they're there and how much they're struggling and their journey as they go through this program,
Sure.
and how many can be successful.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I've always been a firm believer, that it doesn't matter so much where you are, but where you're heading, where you were, but where you are, and where you're heading, those sorts of things. And that's what I think is cool about the drug court program. I mean, I think, most people could have made a wrong turn somewhere in their life and ended up there. You know what I mean? Like, I think of, like for a long time I was addicted to Pepsi. That sounds kind of weird, but I've gotten off of that. But I think of it, and people kind of laugh when I say that, but it's like, I think if I could be that addicted to something like that, why couldn't it have been something else? Like one bad decision, I could be that person going through drug court. So,
Right.
so I'm just really glad there's programs like that to help people, steer the ship and get back in the right direction. So yeah. So re-election, it will be in 2016.
2016.
So 2016. So you've got some time. Although
Yeah.
not a lot of time.
Not a
Gosh,
lot.
another year.
No, file in 1 year.
Yeah, and so when campaigning, I mean, you go out and knock on the doors and do
Well,
that sort of thing, or what's that look
As
like?
long as if I don't have anyone who files against me, we
Oh.
actually don't have to go through the whole ballot and that process.
Oh, good.
So
And that's probably actually a position that's quite often unopposed, isn't it?
it is.
Yeah,
It is.
I
No,
can see that. Were you unopposed this last time?
no, I had someone run against me this last time, but I was successful and won by a good percentage, and so
Good.
it was good.
Good. And maybe the fact that you were appointed maybe raise that a little bit more. Kind of like, hey, I want to challenge this person, but maybe now that you're
Been there a while.
Yeah, that you've been there a while and won an election, maybe people will be like, okay, we'll just let her go. Time will tell, right?
That's right.
You never know. So, yeah, it seems like the positions that get probably the biggest positions, biggest attention, I meant to say, is like your commissioners and things
Right.
like that. It
Right.
seems like. And
Yes.
so that gets back to that appointed versus voting thing. I'm concerned that are our voters looking at the candidates and learning as much as they can about the candidates and making an educated decision, or are they, when it comes to election day, they've researched maybe a few candidates, but some positions they were like, yeah, okay, well, yeah, I saw that in my neighbor's yard, so I wouldn't sign for that judge. You know what I mean? That's what my concern
It
is. a
is,
little
and
bit
I
on
think
that.
that's one of the challenges of the judicial, and if there are judicial races, is that people don't, unless they've had to be in the court system, they don't necessarily know a lot about the system.
That makes sense to me.
So they're not particularly knowledgeable enough to really decipher, about who's good or who isn't. And there's not necessarily a lot of information. We do have a lot more limitations on what we can even say or do.
Oh, I bet.
And so that makes it even tougher.
Because you think about it, a lot of times people running their record, well, you probably can't even really talk about your record. You're like, hey, this case, this and that and the other.
You
I mean,
can't.
like, we put this many people in jail. I mean, you probably can't get into any of that stuff. I mean,
So you don't get to do those things, and so it's like I said, you're very limited in what you can even say.
You're probably really running more on your expertise. You're like, okay, here's what I've done.
Here's my experience, here's
Yeah.
my background,
Yeah,
been on the bench X amount of years already, so.
yeah. Makes
Next week
sense.
I will call, right now.
Anything I haven't covered? I like to just go there and say, hey, is there something I need to, or we got time was, oh, actually, we're getting close. They want to do their shout outs usually about 10 till. So, is there a website where people can go and see like more? I mean, like, I know election time usually there is. Is there like a website where they can go and learn more about the court system and our judges?
Well, there's, I don't know the actual website. There's AOC, Association of Courts, which is our Washington website, which has a lot of information on it. We have our local Cowlitz County Superior Court website, and if they just put in Cowlitz County Superior Court, they should come up with our website. A lot of information, a lot of good information about if they need to do anything particular in the courts. It helps them with process, procedures, some of it, not a lot of it, but
Sure.
as well as documents that they may need to use for certain procedures. Say you wanted to get a divorce, there's a link, I believe, to all the documents that you need to have for that. And so there's a lot of good information on there.
So actually, I was thinking about that as you were saying different cases and things like that. So do you guys work with like small claims court, things like that?
That's
or is
district court.
I thought that was by district. Okay. It's not Judge Judy. I'm sure it's not really like that, right? Although in some ways, I think sometimes it would do the people good to have somebody tell them, hey, you know what? Listen, you're not being so smart about that or whatever. But anyway, so yeah, I think it's kind of a funny approach. Maybe not so much if I was in front of her. Maybe I don't know. But I've been in small claims. I guess that's a good thing, of course. But
You know, when I pro-temmed, I pro-temmed in small claims, and I tell you, sometimes the litigants in those cases were more intense.
Oh, I bet.
And
I
we're
bet.
gonna show and present
It's
their
probably more about
case.
emotion. You know, let's think about it. If you're fighting over $50, it probably isn't about the $50. There's probably some emotion behind that or whatever.
No,
Yeah.
It was always interesting to see what people would do.
Well, that was one of the first things I would say to people when I was, okay, they're running me different John. But back in my title insurance days, I get people coming in and they were really upset about this 5 foot by 10 foot piece of land that this fence was over, and they were going to fight it. And I'm like, just realize that at the end, the attorneys are definitely going to win because they're going to get paid for all their time, and they should get paid for their time. And what is the value of that 50 square foot piece of land? I mean, even in the end, you might win and get court costs, but the other side doesn't have money. Now you've got a judgment that you've got to try to collect on that you may get paid someday. So again, I'm not an attorney. I can't give you legal advice, but this is just something I've seen, and something you might want to think about. But some people get really, really pretty.
And a lot of times that is the case when somebody is facing, they may be in the right, but the cost of litigating that issue is so great that they can't pursue it.
Is it really worth it? It's the question people need to ask themselves. Maybe it is.
Or they can get a judgment against somebody, but they'll never be able to collect on that judgment. So.
It's like I hope none of my tenants are watching, but I've never evicted anyone. Instead, I get them to sign an agreement that they'll be out by a certain date, and I will not come after them for any of the back amount that they're due or anything. And leave my place in good condition. Don't beat it up on the way out. And you won't have an eviction on your record. I won't come after you for any of the money. And most people are like, "Oh, that's a great deal. It's time to get out. My place is in good condition. I can rent it again." And maybe I would have gotten the money from them someday, but I just know way too many stories of places going back. In fact, I know a landlord in town. It was just in the news recently that man, his place has just got $11,000 damage, is what the paper said. And I'm just like, wow. I'm not saying my method would have worked there, but maybe it would have. Who knows? And that guy's actually facing criminal charges. I think once you get above like $5,000 in damages, then when it goes to a felony. There's a certain number, I think.
I'm not sure what the cutoff is.
Okay. I heard that they said it was a felony charge, so
Well, it definitely would be at that.
I'm just like, wow. I can understand maybe a person feeling like, in the moment they were right, but I'm sure he's not feeling too good about the decision.
Yeah. Theft threes are the cutoff is $750. So I don't know if malicious mischief. I don't know. I have to go back and watch. I'm not quite sure.
Well, that's why you have resource guides and stuff to look this
That's
stuff up,
right.
right? You can't memorize everything in the law, right? I can only imagine. Wow. I mean, you'd have to be quite the encyclopedia to memorize.
I don't try to memorize it.
No.
No.
Yeah. I remember I was reading this book on, it's called The Magic of Thinking Big. And it was just talking about success principles in general. And there was this guy that was on Jeopardy and been on for weeks and weeks and weeks. He goes, "What did I pay that guy?" And the person goes, "What? $200?" He goes, "Per hour?" He goes, "No." Period. So everything he knows, I can look up in an encyclopedia. Now, give me a thinker, a person that can think outside the box. And he's like, now basically the point was you can look up that information, but how you use that information is like all tangents. But I'm ADD, so you can probably prove that in this little segment. But anyway, so it's fun. Any final thoughts before we get to our shout outs?
No, other than to say I thoroughly enjoy my job. I hope that I'm there and can make a difference. That's why I wanted the job, and as I say, enjoy it.
Well, thank you for your service.
Well, thank you.
Appreciate it. It was really nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yes. Shout outs. Is that all you got this week?
I'm so tired.
I want to say hi to people that watch us on a regular basis across the world, actually. So, it's got his list.
This week, yes.
Last week you forgot to list.
Somebody forgot the list last
I
week.
forgot it. I was on vacation.
Blame it on the vacation.
Well, now you have got the list.
I have the list.
Good.
So, shout outs. Donna from Randall, Ray from Longview, Dane from Germany, Ann from Longview, Rachel from Escondido, Elisa from Kelso, Aaron from Vader, Michael from North Dakota, Renee from New Hampshire, Connie from Cleveland, Connie from Winlock, Debbie from Vancouver, Christine from Longview, Darcy from Longview, Gail from Australia, Vitalis from Kenya, Martha from Tacoma, Susan from England, Jamal from Africa, Stephen from Portland, Rich from Seattle, TJ from the Midwest, Lynn from Victoria, BC, Mark from Pittsburgh, Amelia from Longview, Black Dog Cat from the UK, Paul from Seattle, Garina from Seattle, Carol from Longview, Avery from Longview, and Jack from Greenville, Ohio.
Very cool.
Now,
And actually, you mentioned Gail in there. I don't know if she watches the show or not, but Gail Hoover used to come to the shop quite often. Turned 70 today, so happy birthday if you're watching.
Happy birthday.
Yes.
speaking of birthdays, my new edition niece said was born last night.
Wow, congratulations.
Yesterday.
Very cool.
She's adorable. Anyway, so this will be in the newspaper as well, but well, I'm just reading it. I'm supposed to.
Okay.
Feet on the Street, which has been and is a show about people in our community, will be ending as of May 26th, 2015. KLTV gave birth an opportunity to celebrate the many great people and things which exist in our region. Under the stewardship of Candace Benton and Cody Strickland, the show evolved into an internet connection joined by many around the world. The guests on the show, which number over 1,000, have been a joy to share with, and we thank them all with our hearts. As well as KLTV, we also express great gratitude and appreciation to our hosts through the years. Minus World, Bruno's Pizza, and especially Lynn's Burgers and more at 1232 Commerce.
Lynn's Ice Cream Yogurt and more.
Not me, whoever wrote this.
Read it.
The final show will be at Lynn starting at 5 p.m. and going until 7, featuring some incredible guests. All are welcome to join us on this event. For more information, please contact Candace Benton at 360-751-2364. Thank you for all your participation and support through the years. I apparently can't read today either.
Good. All right.
Or talk.
For once in my life.
Whatever.
Next week's guest is
No,
Oh, right on.
Cabaret. Oh. Susan Lewis and
Susan Lewis and whoever
Ray
she
Byers.
Who?
Ray Byers.
Ray Myers?
Ray Byers.
Oh, Ray Byers.
From Cooking.
Now you can't even hear.
Oh, from Cooking. Okay, a little
From
bit.
Cooking Country, and they will be supporting here and doing the cabaret.
Cool.
Our host, well, will be me. John will not be able to be here.
Yeah, so we'll be.
Yeah, I will call.
He's like, yes.
But I'll be here the week after and the week
Yes.
after, and yeah, I'll be here till the
There are
after that.
technically there's only 3 more shows left.
All right, I'll be here for 2/3 of them. 66%.
There you go.
Include today, 75%.
Anyway, thank you for joining us. Come next week, join us. Dinner before 5:30. Show starts at 6. I don't think I'm missing anything, am I? Oh, the walk thing is on May 9th, which is Saturday. Starts at the lake. Registration is free.
What walk thing? What walk thing?
I know.
can't remember
He's
the name
going
of
for
it.
a walk and he's inviting people to come along.
The rain's gonna start at 9 o'clock. You wanna come? What are you talking about? You don't even know.
I'm trying to think of the name of it.
He's coming up as he goes.
John, you should know these things. You're out in the community.
The walk thing
Yes, it's at the lake on Saturday on Mother's Day.
on Mother's Day. Okay, Mother's Day walk.
It might be. I'm not sure.
Is it a benefit-like thing?
Yeah.
Is it
For what?
Alzheimer's? Is it for?
You should join.
Is it for breast cancer or is it for?
I don't remember. I seen the post in the elevator today at the hospital.
Oh. What time?
See if I can-
It starts at 9:30. And I know you could either walk or run or
Well, Stageworks has Little Women at down at Stageworks.
huh?
Stageworks has the play Little Women playing right
Stage work has Little Women playing.
What
The show.
does it have to do with the walk?
now. I don't know.
I have no.
Was it related?
Oh my gosh.
I was gonna say he should know about.
I'm trying to see if I can find it. If I
And my phone's dead, so I can't look it up.
You all nearby events.
Hold on, guys.
So Sunday walk, which would be
Oh, it's on Saturday, not Sunday.
what's on Saturday? Yep, don't see it.
Well, I know I got invited to it. I just on Facebook. I don't remember the name of it. I will post on Facebook about it again. Let's see. I don't think there's any other events.
Not that I know of. Yeah.
Nope. Is there any events coming up with you?
There is on June 20th over at Right Way RV. It's on a Saturday. Is the 4th annual
Car
Rods
show.
and Dogs Car Show. It's $20 to have a booth plus a
That's
raffle
Saturday.
prize if you're a business. I believe it's $20 for a car. You'd have to double check with Right Way on
I go
that.
to that.
They're at 1290 Walnut Street over
If I'm
in
maybe I'll have
Kelso.
my car.
A lot of fun.
You said the 22nd of this month.
20th. Oh wow, cool.
Again.
Yeah, that's
It's
true.
supposed to be the 15th.
That's
And
true.
it was supposed to be 2 years ago.
I think when Lynn gets this car done, she should get a lifetime achievement award that goes with the car.
Been trying to get my car done for 18 years.
Yeah.
I'm ready to run it off the cliff. It's just done.
Yeah. So.
All right. But yes, I will post about the walk thingy.
Oh
I can't remember what it's called, and my phone's dead, so I can't figure it out.
The walk to
Did you turn the
remember.
on switch?
Yeah, it's just dead. I forgot to charge it.
The walk to remember.
I know
Yeah.
registration and everything begins at 11. At 11.
You said
8.
9:30. Oh my gosh.
The walk and run thing begins at 9:30.
It's okay, Cody.
I'm tired. Okay, I haven't got much sleep. Anyway, I will see you all next week. Hopefully, I can talk and
Thank you.
remember things.
Thank you for
Yes, and thank you, Judge Han, for coming,
You're
and
welcome.
John for hosting, and you people for watching.
Are you related to Bill Hahn?
What's that?
Are you related to Bill Hahn?
Not that I know of.
Bill Hahn.
We're
Nice
at
guy.
the